Ben?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Ben. Where are you from?
I'm from here, Florida.
You're from Florida? Orlando?
Yes, sir.
It's nice to be in Orlando. It feels very tropical. Feels like we're back in the Philippines today. My wife calls it wetty, wet, wet. I'm like, that's what it feels like in there. What's going on, man?
Yeah, so maybe a basic question, but do you have like a favorite scene from The Last Airbender, rather just because it was the experience recording it, or seeing it after it was all done, or just like, yeah, do you have a favorite scene?
I mean, I did not have a favorite scene until I went back to rewatch the whole thing. I did my podcast with Janet Varney called Brave the Elements for Avatar Studios and Nickelodeon. We just actually won a Webby for it, so I'm pretty proud of that. Also, I forgot to say that in the intro. I'm a podcaster. But first of all, do you have a favorite scene, man?
Honestly, probably your reunion with Uncle Iroh.
All the feels on that one. I love that one, for sure. That's one of my favorite. Recently, I mean, we just finished book 3, and so we've been heavy this whole year into the Book of Fire. And so I would say recently my favorite episode was Firebending Masters. And to see, it's just that to see, when they're entangled, they're in the rapture of the rainbow fire around them, and when Zuko's like, I understand. I also was in my living room like, I understand. I was like, yo, I understand. I mean, I literally like took a picture of it. You know what I'm saying? I was like everyone was like, yo, rewind a second, I took a picture of this. And I want that on my phone to know the moment I understood things. To capture that. But it was so, I loved it because it's been such a journey for Zuko and for us as a show, and for the whole thing to kind of like the fact that it's not even written. It's just like it's the feeling of understanding like your destiny, and I mean after everything the guy has gone through, and then deciding to come back to the game and overtake his father and try to help. He understands now like that. He understands his place. And I think it's crazy in life because there's a thing where I was kind of teaching an acting class. I wasn't teaching, I was like speaking. I guess I was teaching an acting course. Some new guys, they just brought me to come do a keynote for this acting school. And I was like, sure, I'll do it. And because I go to colleges, I do about 6 to 10 colleges a year where I do keynotes on pop culture, drama, or Asian American studies or whatnot. So I never went to college. But I'm a professor. Not a professor, but I'm a keynote speaker. And I got to speak at some of the best, amazing colleges I would have never been able to get into as a student, I spoke at like Princeton, and Brown, and Yale, and Duke, and stuff like maybe East California, USC, stuff like that, but like, what? Like, I would have never gotten to Princeton. I couldn't even think about even putting a letter of trying to get there. But when I was speaking at this one acting school, the guy who was like the dean of the school was like watching me talk to the students, and he said something very interesting to me. I was probably, when I got out of my session, and he was like, hey Dante, he's like, how old are you? And at the time it was almost 10 years ago, I was probably like in my late 30s. And I was like, yeah, 38 or something. Oh, he goes, it happened. I said, what happened? He goes, I was seeing how you were talking to the students and sharing your experience. Like, you know what you know now. I said, what? Yeah, he goes, because you weren't really talking about ego, you were just sharing your experiences, and you were also teaching them in a way that wasn't from ego or wasn't proving it. You were just really trying to give them the experience that you went to, and hopefully, things that can help them in the way that they can do it. So there comes a time in people's lives where they get old enough where they actually understand what they know. And I was like, that was the feeling. And it's a feeling like this, no one tells you, and then you go, whoa. When we went through the Firebending Masters, I was like, you got to that place where you just understand who you are, what you're supposed to do, where you're at in the world, and like how to move forward. Because until then, we have a struggle of who am I, what am I supposed to do, what am I supposed to do. That was the whole thing with Zuko's thing. In that moment, like we all have in life, you get to a place where you have some clarity on who you are. He had 2 dragons to help him out. We don't have that all the time, but so I love that. Thank you, man. Next question. Yes, right here. What's your name? Anthony. What's going on, Anthony?
What's going on? So, as far as I know, you're the only person in the upcoming Avatar movie to come back and reprise your role. What's that like?
That Anthony, that's not. You don't know that. No, it's a rumor actually. I will tell you right now, that is not confirmed nor necessarily real at the moment. I mean, I don't know. The reality is, there's a whole new cast. I met a bunch of the cast. I work with Mike and Brian still because they produce our podcast. And we just went to VidCon. Matter of fact, I did a con in the middle of 2 cons this week. I flew from, what was it, an anime con in Atlanta. I flew to New York to do, I have a matcha tea company, my wife, that we did an event on Tuesday, and then I flew back to LA to do VidCon on Thursday, and then I flew here Friday to be the job here. But Nickelodeon and Avatar Studios reminded us that right now, in between dropping new things, the thing that they've been producing the last 2 years is our podcast, which is cool. So I'm still with the fam, and we're doing our thing. New stuff is coming out. I'm not necessarily voicing Zuko at the moment. I don't even know if Zuko is going to be in the upcoming thing. We don't know. You know, so it's one of those things. But I think the rumors are out there. Who knows? We don't know. Until it comes out, we'll see what is ultimately done. But the good thing is, it's not even just that serious. I will tell you that there are several animated projects that they're working on right now that will be coming out in the next few years. So, the old gang, some new gangs, some new things that I'm really excited about. Some things I saw, like, whoa, what's that? You know, so it's a rumor. I don't know. We'll see what happens. What's your name?
Vivi.
Hi, Vivi.
So actually, I have like one short thing I wanted to tell you since I was like in the 5th grade. So I'm part
We're going back.
We're going way back.
Let's go back, Vivi.
So I'm part Japanese. My dad used to have this whole spiel about honor ever since I was like old enough to talk, right?
Okay.
Then Avatar comes out, and everyone knew, like, you know, this thing, because I told them, yeah, my dad just gave me a whole honor speech because I didn't do my homework. So Avatar comes out, we meet Zuko. I was in the 5th grade, I walk into class, it's morning, I'm tired, everybody turns to me and goes, "It's Prince Zuko!" And I was like, because I also had freckles up one side of my face, and they were darker. And so for like 5th grade up until middle school, I was known as Prince Zuko, and I hated it. But that's actually how he became my favorite character, though. Like, I was like, wow, my dad is also like this is great. He got me through middle school.
That's
so.
pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
And
Prince Zuko as like a nickname is not bad.
it was just
Believe
like...
me, I have it also.
And then, yeah, it was just... It made my childhood like a lot more fun, and actually Zuko's what got me into drawing. So yeah.
Amazing. I love that story. I love how this thing has become a part of a lot of people's lives, especially your generation. So that's really, I'm honored to be a part of it. Question?
So my question is probably the most dumb question you're gonna get all day. So, because I love Iroh and Zuko and like the whole thing with the tea shop and the tea, it's like my favorite thing ever. Do you have a favorite tea blend by any chance?
Yeah, and that's not a good question. The reality is I have a tea company.
What?
Yeah, so I love,
What's the name of your company?
it's called Rufio Matcha. And it's matcha tea. It's phenomenal. I mean, I love tea. I love all tea. My wife is from China, so she obviously is into tea more than me because I've been back to China with her. Like, hey, we're Americans, so we drink coffee. We're coffee drinkers, and I'm drinking coffee right now. I would love some tea, but we're more or less coffee drinkers more than not. But in Asia, and when I'm an age too, we drink so much tea. And I love tea, a lot of different tea, but I also love particularly matcha tea. We started because I love the show, but also I was replacing a cup or two a morning with tea, and I wanted something with a good amount of pick me up. So matcha was really the thing for me. And everyone started drinking matcha. You can go to Starbucks and everyone knows like gets matcha latte, but then I started researching it, and like a lot of that matcha is horrible. Like bad matcha is like, this is garbage matcha. Me and my wife researched and we got in contact and we got ceremonial grade matcha from Japan. And we just recently got back from Japan with our second batch, but our first batch sold out. And we just try to create things in life that are fun for our lifestyle and interests. So beyond the acting and Hollywood stuff that we do, we created this tea company called Rufio Matcha, which you have to go to rufiomatcha.com. I think I may have like one or two at my table left that you can pick up also. But to launch it last holiday season, I got a lot of Avatar cast together, and we did a partnership with a coffee shop out there. We actually turned into the Jasmine Dragon from the show. Yes, and me and Uncle Iroh, Greg Baldwin with Uncle Iroh, he came out. He actually cosplayed. He came out and we did tea with everybody, and we just had this whole thing. It was crazy, but it was wild. It was like we did 2 weekends. We had avatars come out. We had like the water tribe come out. It was very cool. And then the lines were like 3 hours to go through the Jasmine Dragon. But we had a great time. People did some signings and meet and greets, and people bought matcha, and they had like donuts for all the different elements, which is very cool. Right now, this summer, we're doing a collab with a place called Carriage House in New York. It's kind of a higher-end restaurant, and they're carrying our matcha for the summer. So they have like cocktails and the matcha, and then they have like desserts with the matcha, which are phenomenal. But we just did like something Tuesday. We had like a whole mixer. But at the end of the summer, I'm gonna bring some of the cast back out when we do the Jasmine Dragon again to end the summer with Carriage House, which should be good. I mean, just trying to do fun things. So I love tea. So I love matcha.
Perfect.
Check my thing out. RufioMatcha.com. Question, what's up? What's your name?
Hey, I'm JoJo.
What's up, Jojo?
How you doing? So I want to run it back to American Dragon.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Doing the throwback. So I know that season 1 and 2 got different art styles.
Crazy,
I don't know
right?
if they ever explained why they did that.
They explained it to me. Because I also asked, what's going on?
So yeah, 2-part question then. First part, of course, being which one did you prefer, and then second part, if you can explain why
Yes.
they changed.
All right. So it was explained to me. First of all, shout out to JoJo, shout out to American Dragon Jake Long. Actually, I love that show. I think it's an underappreciated
Yes.
show.
Very much so.
And the irony is like, of course, like Rufio and Zuko are like these iconic characters for certain generations and like touchstones for a generation. So people are always like, Dante, are you like more like Rufio or are you more like Zuko?
Jake.
And I'm like, I'm Jake Long. And I do want to. I have a podcast for Avatar, but I'm trying to figure out soon how to do something, because I want to go back and talk about Jake Long, because your generation's grown up, and it's this weird show. One dude came to me at a con, and he saw the picture on the table, and he was like, "Yo, this is real?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "I thought I dreamt it." He literally was like, I knew the whole show in my mind, and I was talking to other people, and they were like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, I imagined a whole show that I knew so well that no one else knew. So I want to go back and maybe do some, at least IG lives where we go over episodes and like, let's go back and watch some stuff and talk about, or maybe a podcast. I gotta figure out. I just talked to people at Disney at VidCon, but as far as the animation style, I'm definitely partial to the first animation. Like that's the OG, especially the OG dragon. I feels like I love that dragon. But when the animation changed, I remember coming back and I was like, what is going on with this animation? This is strange. And they said they changed it, the people, the kids, like Rose and Jake, because they said in this season they're gonna kiss. I was like, okay. And he said, we think that the original animation, they look too young. They look like 12-year-olds kissing, and they wanted to look more like 15-year-olds kissing. So they made them both taller and older, which I was like, oh, that makes sense. like, you should explain that to people, you know what I'm saying? Or do some kind of like, one episode, like over the summer, like they had a growth spurt or something, right? And then in that moment, when they changed that animation, they decided to change the dragon because they wanted the dragon to more represent like the Chinese dragon. So they made it, but then it's like skinnier and like, they made it like more, they wanted to represent the Chinese dragon more, which I also understood the sentiment behind it, but I was like, I get that, but I don't think you made it better. Because like that first dragon is kind of strong and people kind of, it's like the American dragon, it's like a hybrid dragon. Where they went back to like a more serpentine Chinese dragon, which is like the classic Chinese dragon.
Like his grandpa.
Yeah. And so, so that's what happened. But again, I don't know. That was good. I don't know, sometimes you think, I get it, like there's representation where, obviously I'm an Asian American actor and I do love representation. I think what's going on in Hollywood is going towards the better as far as representation, but also I think sometimes we lean into things and we overdo it and you do things that no one asks for and you're like, well, and I hope the pendulum swings back to the middle where we can kind of approach things, because the thing is, like, look, I'm Filipino, right? I'm a Filipino American actor. And I tell people all the time, if I had to wait for Hollywood to write something Filipino for me to actually act in, I would never have a career. I mean, most of the things we do they're not nonfiction, they're fiction. These are like fake things, they're all fake. None of this is all pretend. And yes, we want people to come at it. But what we really want, I think, as people of color in Hollywood, is to be included in the conversations, and also, if you're coming at our culture, you're using our culture for inspiration, I would like for Hollywood to come at it with respect. Ultimately, we don't need everything to be precisely like you're auditioning sometimes now, and you're like, okay, but what Asian are you? But what part of that country is your family from? Because this part, like, yo, what? Well, these are so many questions. Is this a real person? I mean, does this person turn into a dragon or not? Because I don't know. Do I turn into a dragon sometimes? But, so I hope I answered your question. And I hope we can have more talks about American Dragon, because I love that. Yes, right here. What's up, Lucas?
So, have you ever heard of the debate where it's like, people say that, like, oh, Avatar's not an anime, and some people say, like, oh, Avatar's an anime, or like, stuff like that.
Oh, I've heard that debate. I had to get all my stuff. Ryan, how you doing?
Tired. That's not even
That's not even on? That's how tired you are?
Yeah.
Have a seat. Good night. We're just here having a conversation. I just started it off, but you can jump in.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, guys. Like, they sent me my list, and it's this on my list. This was scheduled for like 2:30, and I was like, all right, sweet, I can sleep in. That was a lie.
It's okay. You can sleep, because when I checked in, my room was not ready, and I borrowed the extra bed in his room to take a nap when my plan landed up.
I'm just really glad you actually went to sleep.
Oh, I had 3 hours.
You were fighting us. You were like, no, I'm fine on this couch. You're like, go to bed.
Yes. So thank you. Welcome to the Dante Basco Q&A, you guys.
Oh my God, I'm so happy to be here. How you guys happy?
Woo!
Wow, that's way more of a response than I was expecting. Okay. Dante, do you mind if we switch? That one's kind of
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah. Oh, so there was a way to set this up. Here we go.
If I had been here on time, it would have been set up properly.
I was just freestyling, y'all. I was freestyling.
So I'm going to set it up right here in the center. If you have a question, do we want to do lineup, or do we want to just like raise hands?
We just raising hands. We're doing pretty good.
Yeah. Do you think we need another
I
mic?
think we're just casual. This Sunday morning, what we need is donuts.
I cannot help you with my donut connection is up in Jacksonville where I live. I'm sorry.
But we were questioning. We were with this. What was your name again? Lucas, and Lucas was asking about whether Avatar is anime or not, or how it works out.
Yes, however.
Yeah, this is the deal. When I talk to Japanese people in Japan, they're like, it's so funny how you guys say, anime, because like anime to them it just means animation. Like this just means cartoons. I was like, yeah, but to us it means Japanese cartoons. They're like, I know, but not to us, like, it's all cartoons. And so, but we revere it in a certain way. And I'm with you. I consider Japanese anime now. When I was growing up, we had Japanese cartoons that we weren't even calling anime, we just called it Robotech. That's Robotech. That's fancy. Battle of the Planets, that's Battle of the Planets. But because of style and especially how things have become so complex in storylines and apart from the style of anime is what I think was inspired Mike and Brian and the whole thing is the complexity of the storylines in Japanese anime, which made it to kind of American animation, where I consider American anime. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And because it became like the crossover, the gateway drug, the gateway energy drug for a lot of Americans. But it also kind of not only borrowed the style, was inspired by the style, and of course Asia itself, from Japan, China, all the styles of martial arts and philosophies and everything, India, but also the complexities of the stories, which I think in return kind of impacted all of American animation, because when I grew up with American cartoons, it's a very binary situation, and I love stuff like I love Thundercats and G.I. Joe and Silverhawks, and you look back at those episodes of those things, and they're very basic. They're very, we're selling you toys.
Oh, Centurions.
Centurions, yes. Like the Transformers, I love the Transformers, right? But it's very binary. There's Autobots and Decepticons. And like, okay, it's good and bad. That's what it is from the beginning to the end. And then you go through life and you're like, hold on a second. Life isn't Autobots and Decepticons, you know? You're going into the world of Avatar, your generation came to, there's like all these different kinds of nations, right? There's like earth, wind, fire, and water. And hold up, there's like, they're not all totally good and they're not all totally bad. There's not like, yo, Fire Nation, they're all just evil people. You're like, wow, Uncle Iroh was pretty cool. Well, hold up, there's some cool, well, all the water people are also cool. Like, Paco's kind of, you know what I'm saying? Even in the air nomads, there's like, people that are jerks, I wouldn't like that person, So you start seeing more diversity within the communities, and you understand that it's not just good and evil. It's a varying gray space, and then you have a character like Zuko, where it's very rare to see an actual character, especially in animation, American animation, go through such a change through the history, through the storyline of the story, that I think that impacted me on the artist side. Everything I was reading afterwards, like you can see that a lot of these American animations were like inspired by Avatar and are trying to do the Avatar thing to the new Thundercats, to Voltron. Like they're doing Avatar, but Avatar's doing Japanese animation to a degree, So it's just a cycle, but I like to say it's American anime.
So,
Go for it.
in addition to that, how do you talked about the style that you consider Japanese animation? Teen Titans.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you
Definitely American anime. They're like with all the eyes and with all the reactions. It's very manga-esque.
Yeah.
Moments of it. So Teen Titans. Look. The reality is most animators in Hollywood are inspired by anime.
Yeah.
And Asian artists. When you go to San Diego Comic-Con, they always say on the sign at San Diego Comic-Con, it says the biggest con for the modern arts. The modern arts, right? And that for a long time, it still means like, everyone listens to the Japanese artists. Like we're very, as a matter of fact, I tell Asian Americans especially, like, yo, there's a lot of, not complaining, like representation, we talk about where it's very easy for us to, as people of color, especially in America, to complain about the places that we're not seen, right? But you also have to celebrate the places you are seen and the places you are celebrated. And I'm like, within the arts world, in the arts community, like Asians in the Comic-Con world are like, seen very much. It's like the only community in America that I could think of outside of esports that it's like Asian is the optimum thing. Everyone kind of speaks a little Japanese, a little Korean, everyone knows Kawaii. We are looking up to the Asian masters of artists and writing and stuff. So also, if you're Asian, be proud of that. Like, you have to celebrate those kind of things and see ourselves in that, and see other communities celebrating us in these ways, and also understand and be proud of that and be part of that community and just applaud that. You know, it's not always. I've never seen like places we are seeing. You know, this is the place. So, question. Right here, what's your name?
I'm Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
I wanted to ask, Zuko obviously has a very complex character arc. With season 1 especially, most of it's just implied and then it gets more explicit. How much did you know going into the character, and how did that affect your performance?
I knew nothing. I knew nothing. Zero. I mean, and so I think it affected my performance, rightfully so, like it shouldn't have. You just, when you're acting, you have to be in the moment, and you can't play the end, you know? You have to be where you are. Honestly, when I first got the job, me and Dave Whitman, we were doing American Dragon Jake Long for Disney, and then they offered me this role, and Dave's doing it also for Nickelodeon. And I figured, hey, this is cool. Like, I'll be the hero. I'll be a hero. My voice will be a hero on Disney, and I'll be the villain on Nickelodeon. That's all I thought. Like, okay, I'm just gonna be around being the villain and running around chasing some guy that I'm never gonna catch. I was like, hey, Mike, Brian, am I ever gonna catch this guy or no? Am I just gonna be Wile E. Coyote running around this Avatar verse? Like, I need to catch you to this guy. Like, no, you're not going to. So I think was good. I mean, I didn't really start really getting the inkling of who he was and who, Uncle Iroh was. Uncle Iroh was just kind of buffoonish kind of uncle, and we were kind of comedy and like missing things, until I really understood. When I found out how he got a scar, and then you're like, yo, what is this about? And you start getting an inkling of this show, because on a one level, it's just kind of this fun show, and there's like funny jokes, and and it's cool animation, and it's like, oh, this is great. And there's an epic feeling with the music and stuff, and the Japanese-inspired animation. And then things start happening where you're like, that scar was like, this is heavy. Like, what are we talking about? This is like parental abuse, like on this cartoon. And this kid is living with this scar that he's talking about, that people talk about. And his father did this to him, who's the Fire Lord. Like, this is crazy. I mean, other clues early in the first season is like genocide. Like, are we talking about genocide? They're like, yeah, this is genocide. I'm like, this cartoon is crazy. This is wild. So, even when I talked to Dallas Blue, who plays Zuko in live action, we had a long conversation before we started shooting. I just want to remind him, like, you're in book 1. So, like, don't worry about book 3. Don't worry. We're all fans of Zuko now. We know where it's at. But you're an actor. You're not there yet. Where you are right now is you're scarred, and you have a ponytail. And that's where you start, man. Like, that's the first season. Like, that's the whole first season. Like, don't think about the end. Don't play the end. Play him now. And so that's, I don't think they needed to tell me we were going to get there. We got there, So thank you so much, man. Question. Someone in the back? Someone in the back got a question? Right here, the purple jacket. Yeah. What's your name?
Leon.
What is it?
Leon.
Leon, what's up?
What's up? I actually was wondering what's your favorite Avatar Ceremony character besides Zuko?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard, Uncle Iroh, for sure. Uncle Iroh. I think we all aspire to be Uncle Iroh someday, but he's also my uncle, so that's easy answer. My uncle. As far as like the gang or other kind of like the gang or other characters, like there's like certain tiers. Like Uncle's easy. Then it's like the main character games, and there's like favorite other characters in the world that is not a part of the game. What do you want to know? What? First of all, who's your favorite character? Zuko. Outside of Zuko.
Good answer.
Sokka.
Yeah.
I also love Sokka. I mean, within the game, I mean, I guess I would say Sokka. I love Sokka because I love Jack Descendant. I mean, look, I love them all. They're all great. Sokka's great just because it's kind of like, I mean, it's so much more fun than Zuko. You know, Jack was always having fun and improving and having fun, and I'm just pouting and being aggravated and yelling. And I'm like, man, why can't I just be like fun guy? So I do love Sokka, and I also love seeing Jack do his work, and he's brilliant. So that, and then who's your favorite character like outside the game?
Outside the game?
Outside the game, like other characters outside the game.
I'm trying to think.
He wasn't expecting any questions today.
It's not just my Q&A, it's your Q&A.
My favorite character outside is Ty Lee.
I like Ty Lee too. Ty Lee's super cute, and all the guys love her, and girls. And she's kind of OP. Like chi blocking, she's super OP.
Yeah.
I mean, she got Azula real good, and Azula is a menace. She got everybody. I think she pretty much. I mean, Katara, she got everybody. Like chi blocking is like an OP situation. And I did think about this with Ty Lee though, like, you know, for people that like Ty Lee, and I'm like, yo, she also has, I think, 7 sisters that look just like her. Did she say that?
Yeah.
What? Can we go visit her family?
Stop it. Stop it.
Like, what's going on with Ty Lee's family?
Sokka's in
Don't lie, you know, man, you think the same thing. Like, let's go back to that circus town and see these circus freaks and say what's up.
It's a Murder Joy situation.
Yeah. But my favorite, I think one of my favorite, people that listen to podcasts know that one of my favorite characters outside the game, like other, is Chet.
Yes.
My guy Chet. I like Chet because he reminds me of, like, he's very Rufio-esque. You know what I'm saying? He has, you know, the freedom fighters are essentially the Lost Boys. Also, Jet has impeccable style. Only one shoulder pad needed. And always has that damn, what is that we call barley coming out of his mouth? And, you know, for me, I know he kind of, you know, got brainwashed a little bit. A lot of it. I know he has questionable motives at certain things, you know, but this is the thing you gotta remember, like, these are children of war.
Yes.
And children of war, things happen, and so he's motivated, you know, does the end justify the means kind of situation. And then it's so sad what happened to him, Bossing say. But and we're always like, is he dead? Is he dead? Mike and Brian are like, he dead. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I feel he's like the Tupac. He's like the Tupac of Bossing saying, like, there's like rumors, there's been like jet sightings around Bossing.
Elvis is alive.
Yeah, he's like the Elvis Tupac of the Avatar verse. Like, we don't know if he's dead or not. Rumor is he is, however, someone saw him on Ember Island recently. Go ahead.
So you mentioned obviously Iroh as being one of your favorite characters. Was it an easy yes when they asked you to come back and play a character named Iroh?
Oh, easy. Immediately. I played Iroh, General Iroh the second in Korra, The Legend of Korra. And it was great. I mean, Mike and Brian are so amazing, and they're also in tune with the fan base, and that whole cameo was kind of like just a wink at the audience, like, you know, just like showing love back to the community, really. And they asked me to do it, and I'm like, yeah. And then I came back, and then, you know, they showed me the character, and I'm like, damn, that dude is big and handsome. He's flying, and they like do the voices, and I'm like trying to do like maybe bigger. I mean, I'm thinking like He looks like Travis Willingham.
That's a good comparison.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, hey, why don't you get Travis to do this character? That'd be like Travis Willingham, who's my homie. And I'm like trying to do voices like this or that. Like maybe you should be a little like these things. And then they're like, no, lower, higher, like right there. And I'm like, right here, right. Do it right there, right here. Like yeah. I'm like, that's my voice. And do it just like that. I'm like, that's Zuko. I'm like, you guys are crazy. We're gonna just do the same voice. But it worked, it's kind of like a little, like I said, a little nod of the hat to the community, which is great. Any questions? Yes, right here.
So,
What's your name again? You came by answering, say hi.
yeah, my name's Adam.
Adam, what's up? The Undertaker in the front row.
Okay, so I do have a question about Iroh, or more like his VA. What was Mego like impact behind the scenes, and what was his relation to you, and what type of impact does his passing have?
Yeah, Mako, man. Mako is the original voice actor who voiced Iroh. I know you guys all know this, but for the people that don't know, Mako is the original voice actor. After he passed away, he was later brilliantly replaced with Greg Baldwin, who's also an amazing actor and a good friend. But Mako, phenomenal guy, an actor, a prolific actor, one of the OG Asian actors in Hollywood. He has played my father and my uncle several times throughout my career. The first time I was 12 in a movie called The Perfect Weapon. So I've known Mako since I was 12, and I've seen him throughout my career. Like I said, playing because the Asian American community in Hollywood is very small, so the ones that are working were always working with each other and seeing each other. And Mako had been like an Uncle Iroh figure to me my whole life. Like someone I will always, when I see him, we talk about life and career and how's it going and what you've been up to, and he'll always check in with me and just to hear his stories. And for people that don't know Mako, even outside of, he played Splinter. He's a great voice-over career, but also on screen, he's been one of the most prolific Asian American actors like in his generation. Up to being nominated for an Oscar for a movie called Sand Pebbles with Steve McQueen. And he ended up starting early on he started a theater company, an Asian American theater company, which is I think it is the longest standing theater company in America for people of color. And it's called East West Players. It's also a theater company I grew up in for an amount of time where I did plays there, and I wrote plays there. So I'm part of that community, and so yeah, the cast. When you have Mako on a project, he just comes with all of that wisdom and all of that weight, and his voice is so instantly recognizable, and he's brilliant. We did talk a lot. Like we love these characters because we did this for a bunch of years before he passed away doing it, and we were like, yeah, it must be so great to kind of play these characters on screen together because we've had that relationship for so long. But sadly, he passed away. I am honored that I was a part of his last project with him, and it was very emotional for the whole team going through that. But he is missed, and he's brilliant. I can't say enough great things about the man, and I'm just proud that he was a part of my life and a part of my career, and just was like I said, he was really Uncle Iroh to me in a lot of ways. Thank you, man. Question. Anyone? Hey, Ryan, what's your name? Really? My own teenage story?
Yeah.
Sure, there are. You gotta understand, like, I grew up in Hollywood, so I got to LA. I was a breakdancer. My buddies from the area, and that's how we started our whole life in entertainment. I like to say I started at the ground floor, which was the actual ground first. And I think it was like we were street performers in San Francisco, and we got popular and then moved to LA 10. So from 10 to now, I've been in LA. So I went through my teenage years in Hollywood. And as far as angsty teenager stuff, I mean, when you're a kid actor, you know, it's such a weird reality, and I feel for a lot of, you know, obviously a lot of conversation around kid actors right now, abuses that have gone on over the years, and yeah, stuff goes on. And it's not just kid actors. I mean, there's kid actors, there's kid performers, but there's kid athletes. You know, like kid actors are like high-end, you know, kid athletes that play basketball and football and baseball. Like they're not having regular kid lives. They're like doing other things that are, and you have to give up some of your teenage years as you're pursuing this kind of career super young. So with that being said, angsty, I had fights, you know. I had fights. This is one thing I felt. I just think an angsty thing. I remember having this I was actually shooting Perfect Weapon with Mako, right? And we were stuck, and it was 8th grade. I was in 8th grade, and I was supposed to go to the 8th grade dance with a girl named Wilma Wakila. Shout out to her. But it's on a Friday night, and I'm shooting on the set like 2 hours away. And I'm like, have this date set up, and then, you know, they're not letting me off the set because we have to keep shooting. Like, it's going overtime. So I was like supposed to be wrapped at like, you know, 6 o'clock. I can make it home by 8 and go to the dance. No, it's like 7, 8. I'm getting kind of agitated, and then the other thing, my mom is like, I'm like, oh, I gotta go do this thing. But you know, that night at 9, oh no, and this is like no cell phones. This is no cell phones, you guys. I'm old. No cell. I had a pager. She didn't have a pager.
Oh boy.
And so, yeah, so I kind of had a little meltdown on the set. My mom, and she was just trying, you know, that's when they go, do you want to go? Do you want to leave? Do you want to go back to the Bay Area? Do you want to, you know, the reason why we're here is for you to do, you know, your career. She's also Asian mom. So we left where we're from. We left the Bay Area for you guys to pursue this thing. And now that you're working and doing this, you want to just go, you know, you're being paid. You're a professional actor. And so I got the whole not talking down to, you know, the real talk. I'm 12. I'm 13. I'm like 13. I don't know. I'm old enough. I'm 13. Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm 13. But it was kind of like the harsh talking, and then we just gotta take it, you know what I'm saying? And then, Monday morning, you know, everyone's like, yo, she was outside waiting for you. I talked to my boy Randy, he was like, yeah, man, Wilma was outside the dance, the 8th grade hula dance, you know, the beach party dance, waiting for you, crying. I said, damn, Randy. He's like, no, I went out and talked to her. It's cool, man. Like, I said, okay. Guess what? Randy's married to her today.
I knew it. As soon as you said Randy went outside, I was like, oh no. Fucking no.
That's right, buddy.
Yes.
Next question. In the back. With the denim, yes. What's your name? Hi, Kat. We're just having family story time now. What's going on? What's going on, Kat?
So, I was wondering, with all the characters that you've played, what are some parts that you put into those characters? And what are some of the parts that you took from those characters?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know. Is there actors in the room? Actors in the room? Any actors? Some actors in the room. Sort of actors. Yeah. So when you pursue acting, you know, you get your technique down. You go and you do your character study. You create characters. And that's great. But what you don't want to forget, I always tell actors, is like, don't forget you. You are the prime ingredient and essentialness of you playing the character. Because ultimately, my philosophy is I've kind of been going through life and acting, learning a lot of different styles. When I teach, I'm always like, yo, man, you have to kind of find out where you and the character intersect. That's where you truthfully play the character. That's the best place for you to play the character. You know what I'm saying? And so that leads you to a place where there's a saying in acting, like the character, you're stuck with the character, and the character's stuck with you. So, yeah, there's a lot of me and a lot of the characters I play, and there's a lot of the characters in me, like you. I don't know. They just say, you work on the character, you work on yourself. You work on the character, you work on yourself. The more you expand yourself, the more you can bring these characters to other places. But with characters like, it's different for everything. I told you, like American John, like Jake Long's me, because Jake, if you look at Jake Long, when they hired me, the thing is I had done a live action pilot that got canceled. They didn't get picked up, but it was basically Jake Long, American Dragon, in real life. It was like the Fantastic Four, and then they ended up offering me this thing. And it made this cute cartoon, but when I did it, and they were like, it's in New York, right? And I was like, oh, it's in New York. And I'm a hip hop kid. I'm like a hip hop kid, and to me, New York is the birthplace of hip hop. I'm like, oh, I'm a New York kid coming up. And so I made this character like real hip hop because that's me. I'm the American Dragon and the Mac Daddy Dragon of the NYC, and then it started going off. And what's crazy, if you watch it, it's a 2000 ops show, right? But if you really look at the show and you start listening to it, it's all 90s hip hop lingo. Because that's me. And Kitty, the girl, one of the actors, we were just improvising the lingo we grew up with. And so there's a lot of that going on. And if you look at it now, it doesn't make any sense. You're like, what is going on here? But that's a lot of Dante in that character. Someone like Zuko is less where I get to improv, but in my life, I was going through a lot of kind of dark things and pain and stuff personally. Like while I was going back and watching the show for the podcast, and I was remembering all this stuff, which ironically wove itself into the character, because the character was going through that too, but I was going through my own thing that kind of paralleled these things, and just in in one of those good Hollywood fortunate things, like the actor and the character meet at the right moment, and then it's left. That's what's left for history. You know what I'm saying? But the character teaches you stuff along the way. The crazy thing, with American Dragon, the week I had to confront this really scary person in my life and really kind of disconnect from an abusive relationship is the same week in American Dragon where Jake had to confront the Dark Dragon and I'm literally getting advice from the script about, oh wow, this is what I gotta do, this is what I have to do, that's how I look at it. And then with someone like Zuko, when I look back for my life, I told you, I just thought he was a villain, and I just thought him as one thing. And Zuko ultimately teaches me in my life, don't know so much, we think we know everything, we grow up and think, oh, you know us, and we don't know anything. These things that come into our life that you didn't expect can totally change your life, I always tell people, I'm an on-screen actor that kind of tripped into voice acting. It's not something that I was planning on. And as actors and as people in the world, we have all these plans, and you should have plans, and you should work towards your plans and work hard at it, but also you should also not know so much. You should have wherewithal to kind of see when other opportunities come about, because sometimes things happen that may be different from your plan, maybe even better than your plan sometimes. And so you have to be open to that, and Zuko's always represented that to me in my life. Thank you. Question. Oh, Demon Slayer back there. What's your name?
My name is Dina. I'm a mom, so I remember you.
We go back, Dina.
I know.
Neverland days. No cell phones, gang.
I feel it. No, my kids grew up watching the movie because it's actually one of my favorites, and I love you as that character. It's fantastic. Thank you so much for doing what you do.
Thank you so much. No question?
No.
No?
How was it working Robin Williams.
Yes. Robin Williams was one of the greatest to ever do what we all do, you know? I mean, he was phenomenal. He's a one-of-one kind of guy. I mean, like I've been
Like
an
he's
actor.
real.
He's real. He's real. I've been an actor for like 38 years now, which is crazy. And when you get to work with some of these guys that are like essentially gods,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
It's phenomenal, man. I would show up on my days off. I mean, Robin's everything you want. Like, you think of him, he's just a magical, he's the genie from Aladdin. Like, when he's in the room and you're with him, magic can and will happen.
Yeah.
And he's so funny and so smart and so fast. And he knows everybody's name on the set. And he really was a great mentor to me at that time in my life. Really, as a young actor, taught me how to be on a set and how I should be, the best way to be, you know? But also, outside of just his big personality and just like keeping the morale of the setup and really taking that upon himself, I had some great moments with him just in the mornings. We'd spend mornings in the makeup trailer hanging out, and we would talk a lot about poetry. Dead Poet Society was a really big move for me before I did the movie Hook. And so he and I would just talk about poems. His favorite poets, my favorite poets, his favorite poems, my favorite poems. He ended up giving me a really beautiful leather-bound book of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass at the end of shooting for my rap present. And he always supported me as a poet. And I still like poetry to this day. Actually, at that time, I ended up starting a poetry venue in my living room. And that poetry was originally called Dante's Poetry Lounge. And yeah, and that poetry went from my living room, coffee shop, to the theaters. It's become, I brought in other poets over the years. That poetry venue became DPO, the Poetry Lounge in Los Angeles, which is now the largest weekly open mic venue in the country. We just celebrated our 25th year anniversary last year. And also was the inspiration which became Def Poetry Jam on HBO, which went to Broadway and won a Tony. And part of all that magic, I attribute some of that to the magic of Robin Williams. So thank you. Question. Yes, what's your name?
Kayla.
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 What's up, Kayla?
Hi. Do you have any memorable moments, whether it's at cons, your keynotes, just recording, acting?
With anything?
Yeah, anything. Just a memorable moment.
I mean, tons of memorable moments. Well, the con world, I've been doing for almost, 12, 13, maybe 15 years. The first con I was at, just checking time. Maybe a little time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
About,
7 minutes, yes. Okay. So, and there's crazy stuff, right? There's crazy stuff like tattooing and all that kind of stuff. I was talking about yesterday. But one of the most memorable moments recently, and Avatar related, I remember right after. Yes, you were there. COVID had just opened up, and then we ended up going to the New York Comic Con, which is a humongous Comic Con. Yeah. And I show up, and I wasn't even supposed to sign there. I was just gonna go do my podcast with Jan and Barney there. So we did a podcast, and they were like, "Can you stay and sign? Because all these people are asking for you." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll sign it." So I stayed the day to sign, and they were like, "The lines were so long. Can you stay another day?" And I was like, "Okay, they got me a hotel room." So I stayed. But then I was signing, and then this one guy rolls up, and he's like, "Yo, I just wanted to, we all grew up with you." I was like, yeah, man, thanks, man. I love we were there. Like, we all grew up together and everything. He's like, no, you don't understand. I know, right? And the guy's like, you don't understand. He stopped me. Like, there's like thousands of people in the room. And he's like, no, you don't understand. I go, what? What do I understand? He goes, you programmed our generation. And I stopped. I was like, what? What are you talking about? And the guy was like, no, you guys, you programmed our generation. I said, what does that mean? He goes, well, I mean, why do you think we're the generation that brought back protest? He's like, the Black Lives Matter movement, the Me Too movement. I go, okay. He goes, yeah. He goes, we're trying to get the world back in balance. And I was like, the hair on the back of my neck kind of stood up, and I was like, wow, like that's the power of some of the things we were doing, you know, in the community, and especially, I mean, look, the Avatar fan is amazing, the Avatar community is amazing, and I love that the cast, us on this side, but the community at large is beautiful, and the Comic-Con community beyond that. And so for him to take that from that, and I can see what he's talking about, I'm like, wow. It gives me hope in the next generation, and gives me pride in some things I've been a part of to help inspire. The last question. In the back, all the way in the back.
What's your least favorite Avatar character?
Hama. My least favorite, through no fault of her own, because I mean she's damaged also. She's like got thrown in jail. Do you remember Hama? What's your name back there?
Landon.
Landon? Do you remember Hama?
No.
Hama is a waterbender who essentially created bloodbending. And she's super scary, and she has puppets in her closet. Her lips are real wrinkly. As soon as she showed up on the spot, she's like that old lady in the house on the top of the block that don't go to that house. And be like, hey, we should go to that house. Like, don't go to that house. Mama ain't playing. And again, Janet Varney is a Hama apologizer, I guess. But she also says, she was a powerful waterbender, but she also was in prison by the Fire Nation. My bad, Fire Nation. Or we did, there's some things out there we did that's not cool. And so when you kind of deprive someone that much and they're in jail, wrongfully so, and everything's taken away from them, and then she develops this other skill by bloodbending rats, which is crazy. What kind of cartoon is this? And then she teaches Katara, and she's like, it's so eerie. It's like one of those dark arts, But Barney says, think about if Toph was continued to be kind of neglected and kind of just put away to the side, and she didn't meet the game. She also could have been such a powerful bender who created another style of bending, metal bending. She could have been Hama. She could have went through a dark side of the situation and been a force like that. But Hama is like nightmares. Hama. And then she, at the end of the episode, you remember, when the Katara's like, oh no, I can't believe she said, now you know. She said some stuff like, damn.
She goes, what did she say?
What'd she say?
Because there was something, because Katara was chastising her,
Right.
and she's like, well, now you know too. And I was like, ah!
Exactly.
I did not sleep that night.
I hate horror movies.
In the end, she won, because that's what she wanted to do.
Yeah, to pass it on.
Exactly.
It's
Hama. Thank you guys for joining me in this Q&A. Enjoy your last day to come up and say hi to the table. Cheers, you guys.
Rufio.
That's beautiful.